Hey, this is Koina. So today I'm going to talk about deja vu. Sounds pretty cool, huh? So let me share my screen. Okay, so we'll decode deja vu today and we'll discuss what is deja vu, who experiences deja vu, and the science behind deja vu. So let's start with what is deja vu. Deja vu is that eerie or strange. Eerie means that strange experience that you feel when you are at a new place and you feel that you have been here or you have done that thing that you are about to do. So this feeling is called deja vu. Let me explain with an example. Imagine you are going to visit a sick friend at a hospital and you feel like you have been there before, but in your mind you know that this is the first time you're visiting in a hospital. You haven't been to a hospital before, so it is impossible for you to experience all these things, but you feel like you have been there before. So this strange feeling that you are feeling is called deja vu. And deja vu is a French word meaning already seen. And it can be an extraordinary, like it can be an exciting as well as an unsettling experience for some. So logically, you know you haven't been here or you haven't experienced the moment, but your brain is telling, no, wait, we have seen this somewhere, we have done this somewhere. So this is deja vu. Now, who experiences deja vu? Who experiences deja vu? It is said that two out of, let me draw some people here. Two out of every three people have experienced deja vu at some point in their lives. Apparently, most of us have. I think I have experienced deja vu. Let me know if you have experienced. Apparently, more or less all the people experience deja vu at some point in their lives. So young people experience deja vu the most. Depending on how old are you can experience it more or less. By the time you reach 15 and 20, like the age age range between 15 and 25, you'll probably be having deja vu experiences more than you will ever have them after that. So it starts typically from 8 to 9 years old. Some have also confirmed that they have their first deja vu when they were 6 years old. So after you reach 25, the number of deja vu experiences people report steadily decreases. So this is actually puzzling because if you think we think that memory problems increases with time. Like when you are 25, you'll have certain types of memory problem. Then when you will be 45, that problem will increase. But in this deja vu cases, it is not the case. Like after 25, it will gradually decrease. Your deja vu experience will gradually decrease. So this may actually tell us something really important, that deja vu is not a memory problem. It is not anything like that. So what causes deja vu? We have experienced deja vu, but we are yet to know what causes deja vu, right? So let's see what causes deja vu. Yeah. So scientists have been trying to figure out what is the preliminary cause behind deja vu and have came up with lots and lots of things. In like almost two for 2 centuries, they have been trying to find out this the science behind the deja vu experience. So starting in the late 1800s, people came up with varied theories regarding deja vu. Some thought it came from a mental dysfunction. Well, some thought it was a temporary hiccup in the brain. When you hiccup, you have you heard about the fact that when you are like when you are sneezing, you're doing hacho, and then your for a fraction of a second your heart stops. I don't know if it is a fact or it is a myth, but I have heard about this. So same like when you are experiencing the deja vu, it says that you are having some kind of seizure or something, and your brain is stopping for a moment. So some thought it came from a mental dysfunction, and some thought this may be the case. But even if you look up research from the past, like from 18th century, 16th or 17th century, if you look, if you go and see the research there, you could find that some hinted that this is a sort of paranormal or a supernatural experience. They pointed to like having, say, past lives or psychic abilities are responsible for deja vu experience, while some hinted at a link between deja vu and seizure in the brain. Like they have found some scripts written in medical literature where it is suggesting that there is a link between deja vu and there's a link between deja vu and the and seizure. So what is seizure? Seizure is like kind of actually seizure happens to people with temporal epilepsy. So let me explain to you what is temporal epilepsy. Temporal epilepsy is a disease to people who have seizures. So seizure is like for a, for some time your brain stops working and you have that feeling of numb. You're having a sort of panic attack, but it is very silent. You're not shouting or anything, but your brain is stopping, your brain is not functioning properly. So that is having a seizure. So long ago there was a scientist named Alan Brown who decided to conduct a study. Like he wanted to review all the researches that have been there regarding this deja vu experience. So he found out a very interesting fact that deja vu is like deja vu is deja vu. You experience deja vu because of a scene or a place or even a conversation that you have experienced long time in the past. So he found out that this is the most common trigger of deja vu. And suppose you are going to a stadium, let's say IPL was going on, so you're planning to go to IPL final, and when just as you were going to get your seat, you have bought tickets and you are going to get your seat, you feel like, if you feel that you have been there before, you have seen a match, but this is your first time visiting a match. So we often think that maybe we have done this in the previous life and this is coming to us. So I'm like, I have psychic abilities and I know about my past lives, but this is not true. Also, scientists are really working hard on checking if this is true or not. But ac- according to some researches done by scientists from 17th and 18th century, it has been found that the spatial arrangement, like the geography of the location that you are in, suppose in the stadium there's a field, a big field, and there are seats all around. So according to this, according to the research it is said that you have experienced this layout, you have experienced this spatial arrangement somewhere in your life, this in your present life you have experienced this somewhere, you and in your mind you are just relating to that present event with the past event. So this is a very famous, like this is the most common trigger of uh, deja vu, and this is this is based on a hypothesis. So this hypothesis is called, I think, Gestalt's familiarity hypothesis. So this describes that there is a resemblance between a current scene and a scene that you have and a scene that is unrecalled scene. Unrecalled scene means you suppose in that stadium example, you have been to the stadium for the first time, but you feel that you have been there before. So there is some situation that you have faced in your life that you cannot recall it, but in your there is that memory is there inside your subconscious, and you are just linking it to your, and your brain is just linking it to that match and saying that moment and saying that you have been there before and you have done this. Suppose let me just explain. You have been to a sports, there was a sports in your school, and the layout that was there at the sports event was similar to this stadium. Like there was a field and all around it there were seats, so that where you went there and sat there, or maybe you were participating in the sports and your parents were sitting there. So you know that spatial arrangement there, and you are just linking it to the stadium one. So according to the hypothesis, if that previous situation with a similar layout uh, to the current one doesn't come to your mind, triggers your uh, this triggers your deja vu. So scientists try to recreate this feeling, use try to recreate this feeling in the laboratory, but doing this in the lab is quite hard. But they try to do this using virtual reality. Like, they have placed people in certain environments, and then change those environments, and after some time they showed them that a different place with the same spatial arrangement that they have seen before. So they notice that those people that have seen those places but cannot recall those feel like they are experiencing a deja vu. But it actually is that they have seen that place, or seen that experience that feeling in that experience that moment or that scene. They have seen it in the VR. So however, it does not mean that um, the spatial resemblance or that geography of the place or the layout is the only factor that causes deja vu. But there are obviously there are lots of factors, because scientists are also looking on the link between deja vu and people having seizure. So it is not quite sure what causes deja vu. So very likely many factors can contribute to it, then make us like what makes a sense between a similar feeling. So more research is underway, and investigate additional possible factors at play in this mysterious phenomenon. So in conclusion, we can say that deja vu is an exciting and an unusual experience, you might say, where something feels very familiar, but we know deep down that this cannot happen. You haven't done this before, you haven't been there before, but but your brain is telling that no, you have been there, you have done this. So the experience is important because it shows us that remembering happens with a series of steps, and it also points out that young people can remember things and can spot it easily, whereas older people, since it is said that after 25 it reduces, so it is quite clear that as as you go from young stage to a much elder stage, you lose the sense to spot any familiar situation. So I hope you understand that this actually tells us that how memory weakens after someone is getting, like, when you get old, your memory weakens. The young people experience deja vu the most also give young people experiencing deja vu the most gives us a sign that young people are very good at spotting when the brain starts telling that things are more familiar than they ought to feel, while other people's, like elder people's, are relatively slower at judging those signals. So it is very hard to do experiments in laboratories to make people feel deja vu, because the exact cause is not known. It is just it would if they start experimenting on random people, it will just an experiment with no outcome, or no no rigid outcome that they want. And so it is still unknown what actually causes deja vu, but this makes it a very interesting topic for scientists to investigate. And obviously they are they are looking behind what causes deja vu. So tell me, what are your views on this, and have you experienced deja vu? What was your experience? What was the best deja vu moment that you have faced? And this whole discussion was based on an article, and that article you can find on the link given in the description. It is an article from Big Thing. I think it was rewritten by Big Thing, and it was an article from the conversation. So you can go there and check the full article. Bye bye. Thank you.